And what about us? What does Mary the Tower have to teach us about our own seeking? What does she teach us about how we recognize what we're looking for when we've found it? What does she teach us about recognizing God? It strikes me that the critical moment in the story for Mary that helps her recognize who she's talking with there in the garden, the critical moment is when Jesus calls her by name, Mary. Names matter. To be called by name is something that reminds us of our dignity. It reminds us of who we are. In their human connection, in that friendship, in the depth of their relationship, Jesus is present and recognizable. It's like in John 13, which is one of the passages that we remember and celebrate on Maundy Thursday, when Jesus washes his friends' feet and urges them to love one another the way that he's loved them. In their love for one another, Christ is present and recognizable. It's like in Matthew 25, when Jesus tells the crowd who is gathered around him, he tells them that whenever they have fed or visited or welcomed someone, a stranger, they've fed or welcomed or visited him. In their care for the least among them, in their care for the poor and the vulnerable, the isolated and the suffering, in all of those things, Christ is present and recognizable. It's like last week during our Palm Sunday service when a little girl who's just come here a couple times, she came up and stood here in the front as the choir sang their anthem, and she started to dance. In her joy and in her openness, Christ was present and recognizable right here among us. In each of these instances of human connection, in times of caring for one another, in times of discovering joy in community, in each of these things, Jesus is present and recognizable. Who are you looking for? Jesus asks Mary the Tower, who looks and searches, who hears her name and recognizes what it is she's looking for, who's found by the one she's seeking, who shares the good news of what she's recognized, that Christ is alive, that love lives. Who are you looking for? Jesus asks us in all of our messiness and wavering and imperfection. Maybe another way to ask the question is, where have you been seen? Where have you been loved? That chances are in those places, the risen Christ is waiting to be seen. That so often we're looking, and yet in those places where we're seen and loved, the risen Christ is waiting to be seen. And chances are, from those places of being seen and loved, the risen Christ is inviting you to go and offer attention and care for others who are looking and searching too, who are longing to be seen and known and loved. Friends, Christ is risen. Christ is risen indeed.